Alright. Hey guys. We were just here last Thursday. We did our uh, NFL schedules and predictions for obviously week one. So now what we're going to do is, since it's the first time of having a week two from this YouTube channel, we are going to have the week two predictions as well as the week one recap. Odds are I'm going to start doing the recaps on Tuesdays. I don't really know yet. I've had a bit of a busy schedule, but we're here, and as of right now, this is what I'm going to be doing for as of right now. So, as you guys already are aware, we did do the predictions and we did do the scores. Some of them got really close, some of them were completely wrong. Starting off with the first one, I had the incorrect prediction of the Ravens beating the Chiefs, and the Chiefs ended up beating the Ravens, which there wasn't really like much takeaways from that game. The main thing that I can say is that the Chiefs did end up looking like a better team, especially with Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice out there. They looked like a good team. The Baltimore Ravens, they have to start targeting Mark Andrews more. They have to. Mark Andrews needs the ball more. He is a playmaker. Isaiah Likely was getting a lot of it done. I think he was like their leading receiver or something. But like, they got to get the ball to Andrews more. And that defense against Patrick Mahomes did actually play good. So there's not many terrible takeaways from this game. It was just two good teams genuinely having a good matchup against each other. So not many takeaways, but if there was any, that's what I would say. Now we go into the Eagles versus the Packers. The Eagles, they played a very good game. I did predict that the Eagles would end up winning this game, which would bring my record to 1-1 through predictions. The Eagles, they just all around, like for the most part, all around looked like a good team. Saquon Barkley was great. He had three total touchdowns for them, one receiving, two rushing, and the Packers, they were able to stay in it. But then at the end of the game, as you guys saw and probably heard, Malik Willis had to come into the game just to throw one Hail Mary where he didn't even get to throw a ball. But Jordan Love was then taken out of the game, and it looks like he's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. We don't know what it is yet. It probably was announced. I just didn't see it, I'm going to be honest with you. But it looked like it was something with his meniscus. Might have been a tear, might have to get surgery, might be something. Because 4 to 6 weeks at the NFL level is a decently long time, so we will end up going with that. But overall, good game for the Eagles, good game for the Packers. The Packers will end up falling down now until Love comes back, because I don't believe Malik Willis is going to do that much for them. But the Eagles, they have proven that they will be good. They will go back to their first 11 games like they did last year. They will be good. The game where I got completely wrong, for some reason in my mind, I genuinely believe that the Carolina Panthers would knock off the New Orleans Saints. That's probably just because I don't like the Saints. Maybe there was some bias in my head. But the Saints ended up absolutely destroying the Panthers. Derek Carr actually looked really good out there. Bryce Young, he does not look like an NFL caliber quarterback. I understand that he's still getting the rhythm of it, but look at what C.J. Stroud has done, taking a pick after him. It was all around. First off, like the wrong pick to even take Bryce Young, but he has to find his footing. He just doesn't look comfortable at the NFL level just yet. But the Saints will be a good team going forward, and the Panthers, they really got to wrap stuff up. By the way, final score to that game was 47-10. It was a total blowout. Next up, we have a game which was the Minnesota Vikings versus the New York Giants. The Minnesota Vikings, I wouldn't say absolutely steamrolled the Giants, because technically the final score was only 28-6, which isn't like a super like devastating game. Like, it is still a bad game, don't get me wrong, but it's not like extremely devastating like Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. But if you were to watch the game, you would know that it is indeed Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. The New York Giants were struggling everywhere. Daniel Jones is terrible. Arguably the worst quarterback in the entire NFL right now. If he wants to keep up these performances, he is not going to be good whatsoever. The O-line needs to get better. The receivers, you only have Malik Nabers. He's genuinely the only person that actually did good. Brian Burns, like, I don't believe that the Giants had a single sack that game. You made Sam Darnold look like a possible MVP candidate after week one. Sam Darnold had a beautiful game. I'm pretty sure at one point he was 12 for 12. He had a beautiful game. The Giants, I understand like we were coming into this thinking that their defense was going to be a lot better. We at least thought that their defense would carry them to 4 to 5 wins at least. This was just downright disgusting. That does end up putting my predictions though at 2-2, but like I expected it to at least be a closer game than this because that was just atrocious. Now, a game that I am not going to get any hate for getting wrong, I'm going to say, because this was the Patriots versus the Bengals, and the Patriots, they I don't think anybody was predicting this kind of upset. That defense looked crazy. The Patriots have a crazy defense out there. Even without defensive-minded Bill Belichick, they still have an amazing defense. Honestly, all you really need is just for the defense to just keep playing at that level. That's all that you need. The defense keeps on playing at that level, and the offense doesn't turn the ball over. The Patriots can honestly sneak into like 8 wins this season. It doesn't even matter who's their quarterback. I'm pretty sure that they had who was it? I'm pretty sure Jacoby Brissett for this game, and they didn't need much offense at all. The final score was 16-10. You don't really need that much. And the Bengals, they have a lot of stuff to clean up. A lot. I understand the running back's gone, but the running game wasn't there. Even the passing game wasn't there. Joe Burrow was not hooking up with Jamar Chase at all. In fact, I don't even believe he had that many targets. If I'm not mistaken, he only had like 5 receptions, maybe like 7, 8 targets. He really wasn't trying to get the ball out to Jamar that much. So if there's any takeaways from that game, it's going to be that the Bengals, they have to get back in their groove, but the Patriots, that defense can carry them to arguably even something special. All right, next game. This game kind of had me very, very aggravated because I was this close on the final score. It was the Steelers and the Falcons, where I predicted that the final score would be 17-10 with the Steelers winning. Final score, 18-10 Steelers win. I was off by 1 point. I got the amount of points that the Falcons were going to get. I knew that their offense wasn't going to be as good with their first time having Kirk Cousins. We knew all of that. But this Pittsburgh team, one, is the only team in arguably what people are saying the best division in football to win week 1, and they didn't even score a touchdown. Chris Boswell honestly could be in the top 4 conversation for MVP voting right now. A kicker has won MVP before. That is not out of this world to see. But that no touchdowns in winning a game in a competitive division against what you could even say is a competitive rival is an amazing thing and is a great testament to that Steelers defense. Now, the Texans and Colts. I think we already knew that the Texans were going to end up winning this game. Anthony Richardson showed a lot of promise in this game. We already knew that he was going to be good off of last year. But this year, there was a man who was 70 feet downfield in the end zone. Anthony Richardson throws it to him, overthrows it. 70 whole yards, and he was overthrown. That just shows Anthony Richardson, he has a gun on him. He has speed. He has hops. This man is an athletic unit, and he's tall, and he's muscular. I don't know what else you need. But I think that Anthony Richardson is starting to click into how much of a unit that he is, and it's starting to make him want to do most of the things himself because he doesn't trust other people, and that is starting to be an issue. He's trying to run too much instead of just throwing the ball away. Sometimes he's doing too much, which is an issue in the NFL. Sometimes you just want to calm down, you want to relax, sit in the pocket, and just let things happen. Anthony Richardson has not really been doing that. But the Texans, nice win. It was an expected win, but still, it's a nice win. Whenever you're expected to win, winning is what can make you farther in the NFL season. All right, so the next game is the Bills and Cardinals. I thought the Bills would be a lot worse than they were. I wouldn't even really say it was that. I thought the Cardinals would be a lot better than they were. The Cardinals ended up losing this game after I predicted that they would win with a final score of 28-34. Bills win. And Josh Allen pretty much picked up that team and carried them all the way. The Cardinals were doing a lot of things to themselves. Like, you draft Marvin Harrison with the number 4 pick, and you give him, 2 targets? He had 1 reception for 4 yards. There was a few plays where you could see that man was wide open, and especially in the end drive, he was wide open for what would have been the game-stealing touchdown with the Cardinals' victory, and Kyler didn't throw it to him. Kyler just didn't throw it to him. I don't know if he doesn't really trust Marvin right now, but we're going to have to get that set up. As of now, Greg Dortch looks like the wide receiver 1 because he has been targeting him. So if I'm going to pick up anybody in fantasy for the time being for the first 3 weeks, I'm going to have Greg Dortch on my team. Just get ready for Marvin Harrison Jr. He will end up breaking out, just not now. But I wouldn't really say anything to be too scared of for either of these teams. The Bills, they did look good with Josh Allen carrying them, and the Cardinals, they didn't look terrible. And compared to their last season, they're going to end up having more wins. I'm honestly expecting like 7 wins for this team, but that was still a good football game to watch. Now we go to the Bears versus the Tennessee Titans. And the Bears are who I predicted to win, and the Bears are who did win. Now, the shocking fact is that they did not have a single offensive touchdown. Caleb Williams only passed for 92 yards, not even a whole football field. The offenses just were not clicking in this game whatsoever. The Titans have some stuff that they have to clean up. The Bears, that defense was insane. I don't think anybody was expecting that defense to be doing that much. I don't think anybody was expecting anything that happened in that game to happen in that game. Excuse me. But your Chicago Bears ended up getting the win against the Titans, and that is what we predicted. That's what we figured would happen. But let me tell you, that defense is something special, man. Caleb Williams just really has to clean up his game. That's all. All right, now we have the Dolphins versus the Jaguars. Of course, the Dolphins were expected to win. Of course, the Dolphins did win. That's kind of what we all expected. But there was some early on drama with Tyreek Hill getting detained about 2 hours before the game, and the offense wasn't really that good for either sides of this team. It was mostly a defensive game, which is kind of shocking to say considering the Dolphins. I think it took them until the second half to get any points on the board. The Dolphins were struggling, but then eventually they ended up clicking, and then they struggled, and then they clicked. It was kind of just like the old type of Dolphins way to do it. I wouldn't get too scared. It is week 1 if you're a Dolphins fan, and a win is a win. You will take it. The Jaguars, though, they have to clean up a lot of football. They are 19th in the power rankings as of right now. They are not a good team for the current standings, but if you look at their team, you know that they have some playmakers. You know that they do. But they really, really have to clean up football right now in order if they want to make it any further. Now we have the Seahawks versus the Broncos, which honestly was a way more disgusting game than I really thought it was going to be. Bo Nix did terrible. Geno Smith didn't do terrible, but he didn't do the best. Honestly, the score of this game compared to the actual score that it truly was if you were to ask me what the score truly was, it was 10-3. It was not a good football game whatsoever. But the score was 26-20. That does not tell you the whole story. This was just a bad game. From both sides, they both have to clean up football. I didn't really get to watch the game, but I was able to watch the highlights. I was able to watch reviews. I was able to watch everything. And they're just, the best way I can explain it is that they just have to clean up. Both teams have to clean up. Like I said, a win is a win, so the Seahawks will take it, but the Broncos especially really have to clean up, and the Seahawks, if they want to be as good as they were not that long ago, they're going to have to clean up their game of football. All right, so now we have the Raiders versus the Chargers. I personally made the prediction that the Raiders were going to win. I put a lot more faith in Gardner Minshew than I honestly should have given him. This game for the Raiders was just not a good game. Not a good game at all. The Chargers just ran over them on defense and on offense. J.K. Dobbins had an amazing game. Better than Austin Eckler would have, which means that he was a really good pickup for this team, and it was a smart idea to let Austin Eckler go. But, the Raiders got a lot to clean up. The defense didn't look terrible, but that offense is atrocious. You have Devontae Adams, and that was pretty much it. Gardner Minshew, he's going to have a better start, or else he's most likely going to get benched within the next week for Aiden O'Connell. He needs to do a better job at leading this team as the quarterback role. And the Chargers with a nice win. I wouldn't go crazy, though, because I've seen a lot of people saying that now the Chargers are a good team again. They don't have much depth at the wide receiver position. It's pretty much just Justin Herbert and J.K. Dobbins for their offense, obviously with Joe Alt, too. And if honestly your second best player is an offensive lineman, you're not exactly going to be doing too much. So just calm down. We'll see how they work in the weeks after, and that is how we will know if they will be extremely good or not. Now, we have the Cowboys versus the Browns. We knew that the Cowboys were going to win. We at least just thought that it was going to be a closer game than this. This was the real score, the score that you see is 33-17. The score that it realistically felt like was 50-0. This game was as one-sided, honestly, as you can get for a score that is 3 possessions. This was a 3-possession game. Think about that. Actually, 2 possession. Yeah, because it was 16 points. 2-possession game. and it felt like it was just a slaughterhouse. This felt worse than the Dolphins versus the Broncos did last year. Like, this was just a complete and utter what felt like a shutout. The Cowboys, their offense was clicking despite only having 3 touchdowns. Their defense was just running rampage all over the Browns. Amari Cooper didn't look good. Jerry Jeudy didn't look good. Deshaun Watson is a problem for Cleveland. He has to clean that up. And honestly, if you ask me at this point, you have to put in Jameis. Jameis Winston should be the more obvious starter based off of performance-wise. I get he has more interceptions, but Deshaun Watson is struggling with throwing completion. He's struggling with reads. He's struggling with everything. So if you ask me, Jameis Winston should be the star here, but the Cowboys did have an insane, beautiful win, back-to-back week ones, where it pretty much just felt like a shutout. The Dallas Cowboys will be a Super Bowl contender this year, and I honestly think they're going to end up making it further in the playoffs than they normally do. But the final score of this game was 33-17. Now, the part you've all been waiting for, clearly, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Washington Commanders. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were firing on everything. If you ask me, through week one, Baker Mayfield is the MVP frontrunner. That may be like a big of an over-exaggeration, but they had the second most offensive points scored, and Baker Mayfield just looked beautiful. This game, it was a lot more one-sided than people want to say it is. I'm pretty sure at one point it was, 30-7, I think. I wasn't able to watch the game because of where I live. I was watching the Cowboys-Browns. But this game, complete annihilation from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The defense looked amazing. Sure, against not really good, Commanders team, the offense looked amazing. Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rachaad White. It was just beautiful. And Baker was actually passing the ball all around. He wasn't just targeting like Mike Evans or Chris Godwin. I don't even remember his name, but our new wide receiver 3, Trey Palmer, like a bunch of people ended up being able to have the football today. And if there's anything that I could say for the Commanders, is that Jaden Daniels did look really good in this game. I wouldn't say like CJ Stroud type of really good, but I would say like he was definitely a lot better than I anticipated. Out of all the quarterbacks that ended up starting this week, like that were from this draft and even the draft before, he did end up looking the best just through week one. So I am excited to see how he ends up performing in the future. But overall, really good game from the Buccaneers. But if you're the Commanders, you do have to be happy with how Jaden Daniels played. Now, the Lions versus the Rams. The Detroit Lions ended up winning this game 26-20. I think that we all figured that the Lions were going to end up winning this game. But this was a very, very, very close game. Like, it felt like it was down to, like, this close. This game could have honestly just went all the way to overtime, you felt. Until you get into overtime, and the Rams, they just didn't care anymore. They just didn't. David Montgomery I think that they just handed the ball off to him every time, and he just marched in for a touchdown. It was just straight annihilation once you ended up reaching the overtime. And all it was one drive. One drive, and the Lions just made the Rams look like complete frauds. The entire game, though, I don't want to take away from the Rams. They did do really, really good, even with the injury of Puka Nacua coming out. He's going to be gone for about, 4 weeks. 4 weeks to even longer. I'm pretty sure he's on the IR right now. So, if you have him in fantasy, that is a little bit scary. But the Rams, they still have Cooper Kupp. They still have depth. They will end up doing good. But the Lions looked strong. That running game, especially in overtime, looked strong. That passing game looked strong. Everything looked strong from the Detroit Lions. So, if I'm a Lions fan, I'm very, very happy. And if I'm a Rams fan, I wouldn't be too upset. Just be upset that Puka's gone. And now, the final game of Week 1 was the New York Jets versus the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers, we predicted that they were going to end up winning this game. We were aware of that. But let me tell you that Aaron Rodgers struggled, like complete struggling. There was one touchdown from the Jets on this game, and then there was 4 field goals. And Aaron Rodgers, I understand he just came off of an Achilles tear. I didn't think he was going to actually even do the best. But that was a struggle to watch, a struggle for everything, honestly. The New York Jets, you shouldn't be too scared about this because the 49ers are a really good team, but you aren't completely out of it. And if you're the 49ers, what about that running back? I forget what his name was. Was it Jordan Miles or something like that? I forget what his name was. Jordan Mason, that was his name. Jordan Mason. Let me tell you, no CMC, no problem. That guy, that was one of the best running back performances that I have seen, honestly, in this week one. And that might be a little bit of an over exaggeration, but I genuinely looked over and I was like, did they just clone CMC? Because that's what it looked like. He was beautiful to watch. He was electric. He was everything that you would want. He ran hard. He pushed through hard. He was amazing for them, even with their CMC out. So honestly, CMC can stay out as long as they want. And if Jordan Mason plays at that exact same tempo that he just did, they'll be fine. They'll be perfectly, perfectly fine. And I think that is a beautiful thing. So the 49ers end up winning, and the New York Jets end up going on to lose this game. All right, so that is going to do it for this video. I'm going to post another video again today. It's going to be the Week 2 predictions. I'm going to try to shorten that video down. I recently now got my editing software up and running. I should be able to shrink this video too, as you're going to be able to see. I'm going to do my best to try to get it out today before the Thursday Night Football game. But it might be a little bit later, but we shall see what ends up happening. A lot of promising, a lot of like underwhelming, a lot of overwhelming. The NFL Week 1 was exactly what you wanted Week 1 to be. It was shocking, it was big, it was important, it was everything that you would honestly picture out of an NFL Week 1. So if there's anything that I can say, it's that go out, watch Week 2. Watch it. This Week 2 of football is going to be absolutely beautiful, the exact same way that Week 1 was. Week 1 was excellent to watch. Week 2 was excellent. Week 2 is going to be excellent to watch. My fault. But yeah. All right. So that is there for the Week 1 review of the 2024 to 2025 NFL season. Hopefully you guys click on this video. Where would the video be? Right here, right below me. And yeah, I mean, I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.